Good evening. Good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening. Good evening to the royals. Good evening to all the liberated zones in Africa. I want to salute Burkina Faso led by President Ibrahim Traore. I want to salute Niger led by President President Abdurrahman Tian, and Mali led by President Assimi Goita. Those are the lions of the Sahel states which have taken the motherland using force, using the barrel of the gun, which the colonizer is the language which the colonizer understands very well, the language of violence. The colonizer is the creator of violence in Africa in order to steal the resources of the African people. Um, President Zuma recently visited Burkina Faso, and the Western countries have been shaken about his visit. Today, I want us to discuss why President Zuma's visit to the Western countries has shaken to the Sahel states, have shaken the West. Um, what is Zuma's mission to Burkina Faso? Let me play this video and share.
Greetings, families. Welcome back once again. I hope you are well. I hope your day is good. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As always, I appreciate your
time and energy to travel from the land of upright people to return to your roots. As they say in English, back to your roots. Thank you for coming. You have shown us true brotherhood. You have honored us. And I sincerely pray to God that He continues to bless you all abundantly, to grant you good health and the strength that is needed to keep returning time and time again to your roots. Among you, there are elderly people, and some who are very elderly, who, despite their age, have shown great perseverance and made the journey with you. I thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart, and may God continue to comfort you. I have followed your entire stay among your brothers from start to finish. Every evening on television, I try to see what activities you have been involved in. And I can admit that I am very happy with everything you have already been able to discover. But I pray to God that time will still be on our side and that you will be able to return and be able to discover many more things throughout Burkina Faso. Certainly, many were advised not to come to Burkina. You are now our ambassadors. And I think you are in the best position to help others understand that Burkina Faso is far from what those Western media try to portray to the world. Burkina is a welcoming place, Burkina is resilient, Burkina stands tall, and Burkina is alive. And thank you for proving that in the United States. I also sincerely commend you for your strong determination and unwavering commitment to support us in our ongoing struggle, to support your brothers and sisters here in Burkina Faso by investing in every possible field and area. I discussed this yesterday with Prime Minister Renk regarding the permanent residence card. Certainly, we had set conditions for obtaining the card as well as other financial requirements. But we have decided to remove the financial requirement for you so that you can obtain it. So for you, it will simply be a matter of only having to deal with the card application itself. You will be exempt from all the other requirements. And thank you for leading the way for all those who wish to obtain this card and be able to invest and stay in Burkina. That being said, Burkina Faso is a country under construction. I think many opportunities have been presented to you. There are still many more opportunities. Regarding the matter of radio and television, I can also assure you that I will do everything I can to support the creation of such a radio or television station here in Burkina Faso, because communication is a weapon and no one can tell our story better than we can ourselves. For a long time, they were the ones who told whatever they wanted about Africa. They were the ones who told whatever they wanted about Black people. Now it is time for us to say no to that and to tell things as they really are. I encourage you to continue with this project, which we will strongly support. Burkina Faso is under construction. We have started to change many of our laws to allow for better coexistence, but also to secure the investments of Burkinabe people and of all those who wish to come and invest in Burkina Faso. If we take the real estate sector, for example, it is a rapidly growing field in Burkina Faso. We are also looking at the fields of agriculture and agricultural processing, especially the agri-food industry and energy. In short, there are many sectors that are open, and we need the minds of our brothers to come and build here. The industries we need to process our raw materials, and it should be us who feed the world, not us who have to go and beg before the world. And it is indeed possible for Africa to feed the world. So I invite you to reflect, perhaps come together, but I assure you that we will support you in investing in key sectors in Burkina Faso, which can be beneficial to you and to all your brothers here. And that is the very essence of our lives. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will continue the great work they have started. By the way, I congratulate them for this initiative with the Institute, which has managed to do this wonderful work. Continue the work of presenting opportunities so you can be guided and directed towards structuring and beneficial investments. And we will continue to monitor this very closely so that you are not disappointed with your investment in Burkina Faso. Acknowledge one thing. The struggle we are waging is tough, and it is a test of endurance. And you have decided to carry our message throughout the world. We are not fighting for Burkina Faso alone. We are fighting for Africa. We are fighting for Black people. We are fighting for the dignity of Africa. We are fighting for the well-being of our people. And anyone who fights for the dignity and well-being of their people also has something in their heart. We stand wholeheartedly with all peoples who are fighting for justice, for equality, for well-being. And we are friends to all peoples who respect us and who respect our sovereignty and our dignity. Thank you for standing with us in this struggle we are waging. It is very difficult to wage this kind of struggle, and I know that you know this even better than I do. To see Africa awakening is truly a nightmare for some. But Africa is indeed awakening, and Africa will awaken. We will not be complicit in their own personal wish. They wish to see Africa become the reality of what they have thought and said about Africa, namely a land of slaves, a cursed land. We will not be complicit and go along with them so that what they think becomes a truth. We will tell them that Africa is a continent of hope. Others will say that Africa is a continent of hope, a continent of resilience, and Africa is a continent of the future. And we are going to fight for that. Others will say that it's impossible for Africa to catch up, to awaken. We were told this when we wanted to take our country's destiny into our own hands, that it is impossible to do what we want. Others try to discourage us. They always cited examples of African heroes whom they killed to tell us that these heroes tried, but they couldn't succeed, to make us believe that our struggle is in vain. But we said that impossible is not African. If impossible were African, our grandparents, our ancestors who suffered so much, there is no other people in the world who have suffered like Africans. No people can claim to have survived after all the ordeals that Black people have endured.
Black people have suffered the invasion by Arab people. Black people have suffered the invasion by white people. Black people have suffered the enslavement by the West. They have suffered genocide committed by the Western and the American countries, the cultural alienation, the destruction of language and culture, the destruction of Ubuntu, being human, the destruction of family, the unit in which human beings are based. The government is not able to produce children. That's the only thing that the government does not have factory for. So the children come from families. The white system wants the children that we give birth to. Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traore, in the speech they're talking about there's no country, there's no land, or there are no group of people in the world who suffered as much as Black people have been persecuted. The Arabs came to castrate Black people, the white people came to take Black people to slaves and committed genocide, steal the land and steal the resources, all uh, our mineral resources. They did not only steal the mineral resources, they also steal the ocean resources. They stole the water resources, meaning the wetland, the rivers, and the lakes. All of those resources were stolen. The fertile land of Africa, it has been stolen. But black people are still able to be resilient. Black people are still able to survive in this under the same circumstance. President Ibrahim Traore saying black people are still able to survive. President Zuma's mission to Burkina Faso, the aim of President Zuma's mission, his mission to Burkina Faso is not a play. That's why the Western countries are shaken. That's why the West is will now target President Zuma because of his mission to Burkina Faso. His mission to Burkina Faso has initiated the unity of the African people in order to take over the continent. Most people are just talking about African unity. Nobody is acting towards uniting Africans. Traore and the Sahel states have united and have taken the resources to their own control in the Sahel, in the western part of Africa. But as we know, Burkina Faso will not be able to stand the Sahel states because it's out of 54 countries, out of 55 countries when we count South Sudan, out of 55 countries, it's only 3 countries which have been liberated. So the rest of the countries remain um, puppets of the West. Most of the presidents, in actual fact, if not all of the presidents in Africa are puppets of the West. President Ibrahim Traore himself saying he knows a lot of his colleagues, the African presidents, they don't like him, they hate him because he's a threat to their masters. So the liberation of Africa cannot be sustained. It will not be sustained if it's not multiplied. So 3 out of 54, it's only about maybe 5% liberation. 95% are still under the yoke of the white people. Even the 5% that we're talking about, Burkina Faso, the money is still controlled by France in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and Mali. The money is still controlled in France. The money is still printed in France. They have not yet started printing their own money. So, meaning it's only a pocket of, we can say, it's only a light at the end of the tunnel. So, if it's only a light at the end of the tunnel, it's gonna be easier for America and Europe to come and destroy Burkina Faso and those who think alike. If this revolution is not multiplied, if these other African countries are not doing the same, then the revolution is going to die a natural death. One day they will get in and take over in Burkina Faso and little by little invade Mali, invade Niger, wherever they can start. But at the end of the day, they will start and finish. Already, the Americans have taken a decision. They have gave a warning to Nigeria to say they want to come and protect the Christians in Nigeria. They say there's a massacre of Christians, just like they said there's a massacre in South Africa of white people. They are now saying there's a massacre of Christians and in Nigeria, and them being custodians of protecting people across the world, being known to protect the oil, in reality being known to protect the mineral resources. The bully themselves, the criminals themselves, because these are criminals and bullies. They want to come over to Nigeria in order to actually basically guard for their interest. I suspect they want to um, come for the protection of the Christians who are sitting inside the oil. I heard somebody said, Christians sitting inside the oil. Americans want to come and protect them in Nigeria because they love the Christians and they also love the oil, which the Christians are sitting on top of. So they will as well protect the oil. They're not only going to protect the Christians. And when they invade Nigeria, they will have a platform to invade the Sahel state because the border to Niger, the border to Burkina Faso. Nigeria shares a border with both Niger and Burkina Faso. So they will be able to invade Burkina Faso, meaning they are preparing to come and attack. They will be able to protect also the gold, because that's what they want to do. They want to protect the gold in Burkina Faso so that Traore does not use the gold um, to protect himself, like they are saying, is using the gold to protect himself. So they will probably get into Mali as well to protect the gold and the uranium there. So Africa is the price of all the wars which are being fought across the world. The resources are found in Africa. There's nothing that you can't find in Africa. Africa can feed the whole world. So President Zuma has initiated a process to unite Africa and for the Africans to lead themselves, which is too critical. And there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum. Ibrahim Traore and Assimi Goita, Abdurrahman Dian have taken over their countries, but they seem not to have a practical method of multiplication, of multiplying the capturing of Africa, because if only Burkina Faso is captured by black people, then the rest of Africa is not liberated. Then the Europeans and the Americans have got strong base in all the other African countries. So we have to multiply the revolution. If the revolution is not multiplied, the revolution will die a natural death. Anything which is not multiplying is going to die its natural death. The revolution which is happening in Burkina Faso, it's going to die its natural death. One day, uh, Ibrahim Traore is going to be attacked and be removed by the Americans if nobody is acting towards multiplying the revolution. So President Zuma is coming in to facilitate the multiplication of the revolution in Burkina Faso, to affect other African countries in order to take over the rest of the African continent and be controlled by black people, be removed from the yoke of white people. This is a very difficult task that President Zuma has decided to engage himself, which needed somebody braver. The Western propaganda media have tried to create propaganda around this visit, but President Zuma stood fast and ensure that his mission to talk to Ibrahim Traore and teach him about Zumaism does not go without implementation in Burkina Faso. So Burkina Faso, President Zuma and the president of Burkina Faso have met, and they have agreed to meet again and again and again. President Zuma is the leader of the MK party in South Africa, which has won elections, but because of the coup d'etat which was conducted by President Ramaphosa and the Western countries, the coup d'etat, the constitutional coup d'etat which was conducted in South Africa in 2024 elections, when the MK party won the elections, but exactly what is happening in Tanzania. SADC have met and condoned, or not, what do we call? Congratulated Suluhu for winning the election in Tanzania. They have accepted that Suluhu has won the election without the opposition, while she arrested everybody who was supposed to oppose her. President Ramaphosa, President of Mozambique, Daniel Chapo, President Mnangagwa, all of them very illegitimate people, obviously going to support their own puppet, uh, uh, the witch, which is assisting the white people to destroy the will of black people in Africa. Samia Suluhu in Tanzania, eliminating more than 3,000 people who were protesting against the election. The soldiers came out gun blazing, fighting against Tanzanians. A lot of people have disappeared. This is the British colonies. We're talking about British colonies. Stability in the British colonies is now a thing of a history in Kenya. The Gen Zs have been protesting against Ruto. In Tanzania, there has been protest against President Samia. In Zimbabwe, in Madagascar, in Mozambique, there has been protest against the government in all of those places. South Africa, there has been protest, just that it has not yet turned into violence in South Africa, but it will soon turn into violence, because these people, that's what they want to achieve at the end of the day. I think this they will achieve when they arrest President Zuma, precisely because of this mission that he has started to unite the African people, for the African people to lead themselves, for the African people to take over their own resources and govern their own economy. This has angered the Western countries and the Americans, because in this area there's a vacuum. There's no leader in Africa who is actively uniting the countries. Zumaism is taking over government and giving it back to traditional leaders, meaning giving it back to the kings and queens in the African land. This is what is going around advocating in all the African countries. President Jacob Zuma visiting Namibia, visiting Burkina Faso, visiting a lot of African presidents at the moment, and visiting the traditional leaders. They went to Swaziland. I think there's already a standing agreement between President Zuma and Swaziland that if the country is taken over by the MK party, Swaziland is going to be part of South Africa, as it is actually in South Africa. Swaziland and Lesotho, they are inside South Africa. Also, Mozambique is inside South Africa. When we talk about South Africa, basically all of these countries up until Tanzania, the Kenya and Tanzania, all of those countries are basically in South Africa. They are Southern African countries, we can say. They are in the lower part to the Atlantic, either to the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. That's what they are. So President Zuma feeling the vacuum, the only leader who is feeling the vacuum at the moment. And he wants to quicken the unity of Africa. Remember, the white people knows that the unity of Africa cannot be stopped because Africans are awakening. So it will not be stopped. It will not happen that the unity of Africa can be, but they want to have control over how Africa is going to unite and who does Africa unite for. They want Africa to unite for the sake of Europe and America. But President Zuma now wants Africa to unite for the sake of Africans. The white system, knowing them, they will not leave President Zuma alone. They are going to react to what he is doing. He's going to be attacked. They are either going to fabricate charges against him, they are going to arrest him, they are going to find him guilty of something. They are going to try and destroy his organization in South Africa, the MK Party, for daring to try and unite the Africans so that they are the ones who will have control in the unity of Africa. At the moment, they are in conflict because if they try to unite Africa, I mean, the African youth on the ground, there's already united Africa. They are already united. Young people are already united across the African countries. But the puppets, the Europeans are still holding on to the puppets and holding on to the borders. The problem is if they are afraid if they initiate the program of African unity, people like Ibrahim Traore may take over the process and lead Africa, whom they don't want Africa to unite under because it will Assimi Goita, the strategies, and Abdurrahman Tian together working with Ibrahim Traore, now in conjunction with President Zuma, who is a wealth of wisdom, experience. In his age, you've seen it all happening. He knows the strategies. He's worked in the ANC as the head of intelligence. He's worked as a commander of the soldiers of the MK party, of the MK warriors by that time, or MK soldiers by that time when the ANC decided to have Umkhonto weSizwe. So if Ibrahim Traore is working with President Zuma, this is going to have a massive impact in the liberation of Africa. The history has started happening. Obviously, President Zuma must be stopped. He must be targeted and be stopped. The white system is going to ensure, mark my words, the white people are going to work on that issue. The only way they know how, through money, through bribery, through criminality, through the judiciary, through attacks, through poisoning, through the media attacks, which I call the hate speech. There's nobody in the whole of Africa who have enjoyed insults from the media like President Zuma has done, if we have to find out the gigabytes of insults which are available in the internet about President Zuma, we could create a library. There's nobody else. No African president has been attacked in this manner. President Zuma is an example of how the African elder is supposed to act. The white people does not want this type of people to exist. President Zuma is an example of how black people are not selfish. Instead of retiring and going on pension, taking it easier, ensuring that he dies in peace with billions, he goes for the liberation of black people. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the live stream. Please enjoy the rest of the night. Click the like button and subscribe.